Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Not My Canon, where we're just going to paint models. For now it's Star Wars Legion, might turn into some other things later on, and we're just going to talk about whatever comes to mind. So it's sort of like Bob Ross of model painting, I guess. I don't know. So today what we're going to do is we're going to paint this Star Wars Legion Luke Skywalker-Operative. We're going to use I forgot about this color. We're going to use 8 paints today. 3 of them are Citadel and 5 of them are NicPro paints. And we'll just kind of go through and paint stuff and we'll see what happens. So, like I said, all the stuff is going to be in the description of the video so you can decide what to use and when and all those sorts of things. So the first thing we're going to use is Abaddon Black from Citadel. And what we're going to do is, so the first thing that was done was that we sprayed it, obviously. We primed it black. I can't remember if I used, Citadel primer or one of the other ones, like Norello. I can't remember how it's pronounced, but that one was fine. I think I used that one. I don't think I primed this with Citadel. They all generally work the same. I don't know too much about all the differences, but I've sprayed Warhammer and I've sprayed Shatterpoint, I've sprayed Legion and some other things, and but I also have used 3 different types of spray on the Legion paints, and there's been no difference on them. The only thing I'll say is, you know what, I think that this one was the Norello one. So something I noticed was that even though all of them say it's matte black, again, this is going to show how much I don't actually know what's going on, because I'm sure there's an explanation somewhere and I don't know it. But even though it said it was matte black, whatever the one I used most recently, I don't remember what it was called, but came out more glossy. But it wasn't gloss; it was matte. So, you know, don't know. So anyway, so it is the end of June now, and I am not looking forward to Nolan's The Odyssey, so we can start there, I guess. I know that there's conflicting opinions on who is playing what in that movie, which is fine. Like, you can cast anybody who you want. The problem is that I find, and even like if I find something where it's like, here's the problem. The problem is that you can decide to do something differently if the person's a good actor. That I don't care about at all. Like, it just is. But there's also this, like, again, a quota kind of idea where we just are kind of inserting people into roles just because we have to fulfill something, not because they actually belong in that role. If we do it based on talent, that's fine, but we're not, and that's the problem I have. So, not a fan of the source material that was used, not the Odyssey itself, but the interpretation of the Odyssey. And so yeah, I'm not really looking forward to the whole thing, but I do love his other films, so we'll see. All right, and so we're gonna do the next section here. So we painted everything black, and I think what we're gonna do, so generally the way it's gonna go is that the lightsaber will be green, the hilt's gonna be a metallic silver, the hair is gonna be this ochre color, and then Buff will highlight it, and then we will do the right hand and the is it the right hand? No, sorry, all of that will be, both hands will be skin tone, and then the face will also be skin tone. Then we're going to paint this little flap here gray. So I think what we'll do is we will start with the lightsaber itself, just because I can do that and paint the rest of it while waiting for that to dry. Going back to my point about the Odyssey is, the thing is that I know I sound like a particular type of person when I say all that. Now, I only sound that way because we make a lot of assumptions about things without actually asking questions or listening to what people are saying. But to that point, I would say 30, 40 years ago, if you did a film or just any creative work, and you changed things about it or you adjusted things or whatever, a lot of that could be chalked up to just a creative exploration, just the idea of like trying something different, or putting somebody else in the seat of those things, and just trying something new. The problem is that art is highly contextual, especially media. It depends on the political climate, it depends on the social settings, it depends on so many different things. And so the problem is that there's really no such thing as innocent art. And what I mean by innocent art is this idea of that it's somehow innocent of the context that it surrounds itself in. And so we're not like, so I just finished painting this, and we will let that dry, and then we'll do another coat before we do the overspray. Not overspray, dry brush or whatever, dry brush over the whole thing. So anyway, all right, we're gonna do skin tone next. So what I mean by innocent art is that it's somehow separate from the climate in which it's placed in. But in that sense, there's also a level in which that's wrong, or at least doesn't go fully that way, where it's like, it still is subject to the whims of people's idiocy about it. But it itself may attempt to separate itself from certain things. Like I could think of like, oh, this might have been tight. Like Top Gun Maverick obviously is very American. It's very, patriotic. It's very all those things. But to a certain degree, it's also not. It's just a really good movie. It's a really good story or whatever, like outside of the idea of it being political in any way, which I thought was cool. And it was excellent. It was very well done technically, and very interesting and engaging and all that sort of thing. So now I'm not also saying that everyone needs to be held accountable for the whims of society in that way. And like, just kind of the idea of like Nolan having to know, the choices that you make are specifically affected by, or are going to be interpreted by, the way the setting is, like, in society or politically or whatever. I think that is true, that the art will be judged that way, but I'm not necessarily saying that he needs to be held accountable for it, because it's like, then you're censoring art, then you're putting a moral limitation or an expectation on art that it's still his choice. However, choices still need to be owned. That's the thing. It's like, you don't necessarily aren't responsible for people's rhetoric around it. Oh, I accidentally painted the hilt here, darn it. You are not responsible for people's opinions, but you are responsible for the art form you created. Like, as an example, I can't stand J.J. Abrams. I think he's not do I only think he's a hack, I think he is completely manipulative in every way regarding his writing and his approach to media. I think it's lazy. I think there's not enough bad things I could say about Abrams. However, one of the worst sins he ever committed, honestly, I think the worst thing he ever did was not what he did with Star Wars, but how he shifted the blame after Star Wars is what really bugs me. So there was this article that came out when Rise of Skywalker came out, where he was asked something to the effect of like, you know, oh, there's gonna be, Star Wars fans who are, a fan of some of the things, and then there's gonna be other Star Wars fans that aren't. Like, what? So the question posed to him was, what do you say to those fans who are kind of like, on both, who have both of those things to say, basically. And what he said was, if you like the film and you have good things to say about it, you're right. And if you don't like it and you have bad things to say, I'm paraphrasing, but same deal. Then you're also right. And I was like, that is the most weak, worthless, spineless thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Because what you're essentially saying is you can't own your own decisions, so you have to put the responsibility back on the audience by not even having an opinion about it. And it's like, dude, you made the movie. You made those decisions. Don't come at me with this whole like, oh, I was, corporately forced to make these decisions. Colin Trevorrow was there, we were going to do his thing, or Lucas was there, we were going to do his thing, and whatever. It's like, no, you had free reign with Lucasfilm and Disney to do whatever you want, and you still chose to make that crap. Like, and you know what really, like, I think the thing that bugs me the most out of that entire statement is that's a statement of someone who knows they did it wrong. They absolutely know they did it wrong because they're trying to save face by allowing the audience to be completely right no matter what they say. So then if the audience is completely right no matter what they say, that means he can't actually be wrong. And again, that is so lazy. It is so it's so manipulative. It's disgusting. It truly is. So it's like again, I in no way want to say that any artist should ever like be censored in that way. Like, oh, Nolan, if you're gonna make the Odyssey, then you better do it right, and you better do it this way or whatever. It's like, no, you could do whatever you want, but two things: one, own all the decisions that you make. Don't blame the audience for liking it or not liking it. Because here's the thing, I've made movies. You've had to sit in that room, no matter what job you're doing, and like, when I made movies, I did all the editing and stuff like that, and so it's one of those things where you sign off on that, dude. Like, it doesn't matter at that point about, it doesn't matter this thing of like, sorry, I'm trying to really get this face. You can cry and complain all you want about how, oh, the audience is made of this demographic and they didn't like it and this and that. It's like, any decisions that were made, you had to sign off on. And here's the other thing. For smaller filmmakers, it's like, okay, I get it. Like, you don't have like a ton of pull. It's like your first movie in Hollywood. Like they're gonna force you to do certain things and this and that. Like, okay, I can get behind that. Like, absolutely, I definitely understand that. J.J. Abrams and Nolan, nope, not gonna happen. You're not gonna convince me that you don't have pull. Are you kidding me? Like, there's just no. I also have this theory. I don't know how true it is because obviously it's just a theory, but I do have this theory that Nolan still has not won Best Picture. And what some of you might know is that about 4 years ago, I think is what it was, the Academy changed the requirements regarding Best Picture roles, or Best Picture awards, and the requirements to even be considered. So here's the thing that's crazy. In order to even be considered for the award, you have to fulfill quotas. And this is what I'm talking about when I talk about quotas. So I don't remember the whole list, but basically there was this form that came out a couple years prior to the Academy changing their rules. And what they said was, in order for a film to be even considered for Best Picture, there are these 4 requirements that 2 of them must be met in order to be considered. And they had nothing to do with whether the film was good or not. It had everything, literally everything to do with quotas. So it was like one of them was the story must focus around POC, LGBT, these sorts of things, or women, or minority, whatever it is, other minorities. The story must be centered around it, I think. And then another one was, another 2 of them were like, the cast must be made up of, I think, 30% of those demographics, or the cast or the crew must be made up of 30% of those demographics, and those are 2 separate things that you could do. And it was like, okay, but those things have nothing to do with whether a film was good or not. Like, if you want to tax somebody, I mean, that's still wrong, but if you want to, like, tax somebody for not using, like, or give extra tax breaks for people using those types of demographics, that's one thing. But you are literally creating a situation where these people are having to adjust their work specifically around this requirement to even be considered for something that those requirements have nothing to do with. And it was one of those things where I read it, I was like, oh yeah, this is completely worthless. And it's also incredibly evil, because it's like, again, those people are not evil. It's this idea that you've redefined art. See, this is the problem. The problem that I get into is it's just a level of extreme entitlement that comes from a basis of saying that we deserve certain things as citizens or whatever. And this goes into a whole nother discussion about rights. We don't actually have the right to medical service. We don't. I'm sorry. We just don't. Anything that enforces labor on another person is not a right. It's a privilege. And so, like, we don't, like, in the sense that we don't have a right to medical privilege, because a right automatically means that somebody must be forced to work that job in order to fulfill what you believe is a right. That's not how reality works. It's a give and take system, and we're very lucky to have it. What was I saying? Oh, privilege and entitlement. So this kind of goes back to the whole thing of, like, or this is kind of addressing the whole thing of entitlement in the arts. Entitlement in the arts is a problem because we assume that just everyone should be allowed to be involved in those things. That there should be no barrier to entry. But there is, because otherwise it would be saturated and we would just have to be inundated with all these things. It's just really important to kind of, like, understand where, like, it's not your right to have it. It's also not your right to be a part of it. You have to work. You have to do all these things to actually, like, get involved and whatever it is. Okay, so I just painted the skin tone. Here's the way it looks now. I'm going to do another layer, but I probably won't show that, or I probably won't pause in between that. But right now I'm going to use gray just to paint this little flap here, so I'm not going to use too much of it. Ooh. Yeah, just a little bit, because there's just this one section of gray that I want to use. Okay. So it's kind of like how we talk about Star Wars. So we have all these people saying, well, Star Wars needs to be more female. Star Wars needs to be more Black-oriented. Star Wars needs to be more this and that. And it's like, okay, well, let's just talk about it for a second. So prior to 1977, there was no Star Wars. So then after 1977, a man, Lucas, took a giant risk. Oh, that looks really good. Okay, so that's his little flap there. Nice. So this man took a giant risk, and we have been blessed for the last 50 years with something that we didn't. It'll be 50 years next year, I think. And he didn't have to do that, but he gave it to us. And how incredible is that, that we were blessed to have that? And then you come in having done nothing. You didn't make Star Wars. You didn't do anything. And somehow you say, this thing that I didn't create isn't, it can only be better if it suits my entitlement. That is an insane level of privilege, insane level of entitlement, honestly, an insane level of delusion and selfishness that I just can't comprehend it. Okay, we're gonna paint since the flesh is still on the cardboard here, I'm gonna paint the hands just one more time and the face just one more time, just so we have a nice, like, the problem is that this model, like a lot of the models that have like flesh tone, anyone who paints will tell you this, is like the model was sprayed black. So you have to put like 3 or 4 coats of like the brighter color on there, depending on what it is. To do that. So anyway, yeah, just an insane level of privilege. And it's like, but you didn't make any of this stuff. And then they have the audacity to go, hey, all of you people who liked the old stuff, you're these horrible names because you don't understand, you could never understand how selfish or how oppressive that other stuff is, because it doesn't include my fixes, because my fixes are more inclusive, my fixes are more, you know, whatever the case is. And it's like, okay, you're really, I mean, you're reaching, but okay. But it's also evil. I mean, this is what we're talking about when people talk about cultural Marxism and these sorts of things, which I know people like to say is a conspiracy and these sorts of things, but the reality is it's not, brother. Like, it's just not. It's one of those things that you don't want to look at because, well, you don't want to look at it for a lot of reasons, but that's its own thing. So anyway, it's a problem. It really is a problem. And because what cultural Marxism does, it's kind of like what Tolkien said about evil. I think he said about evil that evil can't make, it can only distort that which has already been made. And you know, it's the same kind of thing. It's the same thing because we're just we want all the benefits of these great things without having to put any of, it's not even the work, because that's what I think is very funny is like, it's not that people don't want to work necessarily. I do think people don't want to work, but it's not that. Because the funny thing is, a lot of those people who do the inclusivity and that sort of thing say, well, no, I'm working, I wrote this script, I did these, you know, these things or whatever. But that's not the actual problem. That's not the problem. It's not the work. It's not that you're sitting in a room not doing anything, although I think that is the case for a lot of those really terribly written things. It's that you don't have to take the risk at all. You are subsidized societally. If you are a protected class of person, there is no risk to you. There's no risk to you, like, putting forth any effort. There's just none. Because that effort is like, you're going to get paid for it. You're going to get paid. You're not going to, you keeping your job has nothing to do with whether you did a good job or not. That, like, if you can say that sentence, if you can be aware enough to say that sentence, that's the insanity. That is the, like, that's the craziness we're talking about here. All right, so I'm gonna paint this this hair. I'm gonna not dry brush it, but a little bit of dry brush, like, or I took a light amount of it off. So I'll show you after the fact. I didn't put too much on the brush, but you can kind of see it from there. But I'll show it when it's done. So what I did was I did this. I did another layer of stuff on the face. Now I'm just kind of dry brushing over, you know, all this stuff with the hair. And then we will maybe do one more pass on the face. Maybe, I don't know. But we'll do this hair. That looks really good. When I say that, I don't mean to say it as like, oh, I'm a great painter. It's like, there's a little level where I'm just like, oh, I didn't think this was going to work out as well as it did. So I'm happy that it did. Let's see here. Anyway, cultural Marxism is evil because what it does is it reorients your brain to say all the stuff that you haven't done, you deserve. So let's just get up and take it. It's not good. So there is the hair. Nice. All right. But we'll get more into that as time goes on, obviously. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to paint the hilt. And then, so the order is here, we're waiting for the face to dry so that I can paint the little black eyes. And then, so I'll do the plan is to do the hilt now, then we'll finish with, depending on which one's dried first, we'll either do the black eyes on the hair, or we will do the buff, like it's like a little bit of a yellow highlight over the hair. Sorry, black eyes on the face, the buff over the hair. We'll do the hilt now, and then we'll finish out with white over the whole thing. This is the plan. So not that long, maybe a half hour. Not a huge amount of not a huge amount of work, which is nice. It's nice to be able to just kind of, you know, get things out and like be able to finish things quickly. So it's nice. But yeah, we'll get more into cultural Marxism as time goes on. But especially when it comes to media, like I'm very, you know, I care a lot about that stuff, about media integrity and things, because why do we have to, oh, like, okay, I'll give you a perfect example of this, like my theory on this, which again, most people will probably disagree with me on, but that's fine. I'm totally happy to have a conversation with anybody who wants to, honestly, as long as we can be civil about it. I won't talk with anyone who is not able to articulate their view, or if they can't, to learn how. So that's my rule. We talk like philosophers, where we're not trying to self-identify with the things that we believe. We're trying to get to what the truth is. That's what matters. We're not angry at the other person for disagreeing because we identify with the thing that we believe. We're all just trying to get to the truth, because the truth is the thing that matters. So anyway, an example for me that I really like, a movie I do not like for so many different reasons, is Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, just a caveat to that, just so you understand where I'm coming from. I watched that movie in theaters. It was the only one of the Spider-Mans that I've seen all the way through of the Tom Holland. So that's important to note. I'm not a fan of Tom Holland in general. Now, yes, there is the concept that Tobey Maguire is my favorite Spider-Man, for sure. But my dislike for Tom Holland goes beyond that. And it's actually not really about him at all. What annoys me about the Tom Holland situation is, as a director, as somebody who works with actors, is Tom Holland is a good kid, and he has a lot of potential and a lot of like raw ability that can be nurtured. The problem is that I feel personally that the directors and the actually see, this is an example where I don't think it's the directors, where these producers and these corporate executives keep Tom Holland purposefully not dumb, but more so like stunted, because they have to maintain a particular image that he is, you know, whatever it is, the innocent kid or the pretty boy, or you know, whatever it is. And so what they do is they don't allow him to actually grow as an actor, and he has the potential to do that. I think personally he's kept from doing that in order to maintain a particular image. I think that's wrong. I think he loses out on a lot of growth in his work, in his skill. And I feel like Tom Holland is a travesty in the way that he is handled. And I think what, like, an opposite of that is Timothy Chalamet, where you might not like Chalamet, but he has purposefully gone in other directions of, you know, doing different films and doing different ideas, and kind of like how Robert Pattinson did, where he went very artsy with the Safdie brothers and these sorts of things. Okay, so here is the hilt. I take photos, so you'll be able to see it on a reel or something. So Timothy Chalamet was able to kind of break out of that and do something really well with his, you know, whatever, and it was good. It was great that he's able to do that. I'm actually gonna paint the face one more time because I feel like it can. It's almost fully there. So, but I think Tom Holland is given like crappy art roles, which is just very annoying. Like I saw him in it's not Echoes, I can't remember what it is, but it's the one with Nick Jonas and Daisy Ridley, I think, was in that movie, and Mads Mikkelsen. I can't remember what the movie was called, but it was terrible. It was so unwatchable. It was brutal. And it was like, all right, well, he's also not very good, but he's also not able to, like, again, I just feel like he's not able to kind of fully come into his own yet, and I want him to be able to, not because I even like care about him from an actor's perspective, but it's just I don't know. So that is kind of circling back to the Odyssey thing. Like, I love Nolan. There's actors that Nolan uses that I don't really like. Like, I don't like Florence Pugh very much, and I don't like Anne Hathaway. No, they're fine. I just don't prefer them, that's all. All right, now let's do the highlights for the hair. Anyway, point is, my favorite movies with those actors are the ones that Nolan directs, because I feel like Nolan just directs, he directs actors really, really well. And so I'm excited to see what, like, you know, I'm excited to kind of see, oh, this got stuck, what he does with Tom, because it's going to be a perfect example of, like, now there is a level where this might also just be a total dumpster fire, because I feel like Nolan just gave up his artistic integrity in order to win an Academy Award. I'm saying that now, but it just feels very, something's off, and I don't know, like, something's really off with the whole thing, and I'm not, like, a huge fan of pretty much any of it. This is gonna suck, like, it just is, and I'm not excited about it. So one thing, these NicPro paints, I might be doing it wrong, but they tend to develop like a little bit of, this got totally, they have like the nozzle tends to get a little like clogged, which I'm not a huge fan of. So we'll have to figure out why that is and how to adjust it. So we'll see if Tom Holland is able to be, if Nolan's able to pull something out with Tom, or if it really was just if this whole movie was just a ploy to win an Academy Award for Best Picture. Because if Tom stays the same, I have a hard. I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of the Odyssey thing really bugs me, but whatever, doesn't matter. All right, that didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted, so I'll highlight it in a second, or I'll show it in a minute. I'm gonna do the eyes first because I think I'm gonna go back over this because it just turned out it was too watery. Didn't turn out the way I wanted, so I think I'm gonna re-highlight it with the ochre again. So here I'm just gonna do the eyes, and we're just about done here. This looks like he looks like he's wearing glasses, so I'm gonna have to give a little bit more highlight with the, or a little bit of this is too much. Okay. I don't know what I'm saying. All right, this did not work out. I'll have to mix it more. So we will. All right, let's do the ochre again really quick. And let's do it this way. Mix it all together. This, and then we'll just sort of highlight it. So it's already bright. Yeah, there we go. That looks better. It's already bright, so we have the base. Then the buff kind of came through, and then now we have it as a. There we go. I think that looks nice. All right, so let's take a photo of that, and then let's finish out with just highlighting the face, and then we'll do the white all over. Okay. I don't know where anything is. Oh, here it is. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I rambled so much and I don't remember where I ended off. But oh, I know what I was talking about. I was talking about Spider-Man. So the thing that annoys me about Spider-Man, and I'll continue this at another time as well, is that the movie was like asymmetrical in a way that wasn't. It was purposeful, but it wasn't good. And what I mean by that is usually a hero's journey is done by one person, and then it's highlighted by you know, the people that you're, you know, with, that you're journeying with, and these sorts of things. However, what bugged me about the Spider-Man movie was that the movie was the responsibility for the journey was dispersed among many of the actors, and which I'll go into detail at a later time. But what ended up happening at the end of the movie is that, and again, it made no sense anyway. The movie in general just made no sense, just for so many different reasons. But what annoyed me was that at the end of all of it, what you were left with was a choice. It was either you could like the old Spider-Mans, who the villains were never redeemed, or you could like this one, and he was objectively morally better because he gave them the opportunity to be redeemed. And it's like, or I could just like the other one. Like, I could just like that. That could be cool. I could do that. But again, in modern filmmaking, in modern Hollywood, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to like anything that they have deemed, you know, you're not allowed to like it. You're just not allowed to like it. And it's so unfortunate. Like, it just is. Like, We aren't able to like things anymore. And it's just exhausting. Like, it's exhausting having to justify the things that you like and why you like them. Like, try it again. Go back. Just go back. Go back to that movie, and look at the ending, and tell me that I'm wrong. I'm fine with being wrong, but again, show me where I'm wrong. Because it was one of those things where I watched it and I was like, oh, they're creating a moral conundrum. Like, they are literally creating a moral conundrum by making it so that it's morally better, it's objectively better to like the Tom Holland Spider-Man because he could accomplish things that the other ones couldn't. And I'm like, that's not, like, it's okay. And so, again, remember what I said before about cultural Marxism, the idea of evil. Oh, man, that's not what I wanted to do. The idea of evil is not able to create anything new. It's only to distort that which has already been made. And so in that film, what they're not able to do is they're not able to make a movie that you like because you like it. You have to like it because you're not allowed to like the thing previous. And that is the difference. That is where true creativity is. That's the whole thing. So here I am highlighting the whole thing white and making it fun. That looks good. So we're just gonna highlight the head portion. You really, like, I really got to get like all of it off. It's probably too much, I think. Let me see if I could do a... The problem is that I think it is the right amount. I just don't have a wash to kind of like tone it down a little bit. So let me take that from my head. Let me try one weird thing. Let me see if I can dry brush black over it, just to see if I can loosen up the stranglehold white has on it. I keep trying to do, like, get rid of more, but it just seems like this is actually, I think I might start doing this actually. This actually worked really, that's crazy. That worked really well. Maybe not on the face so much, but because the face definitely needs a wash, but maybe I'll not do the face. Yeah, that looks way better. Okay, great. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me for this one, and I'll see you on the next video.